Today has kicked my ass. Today I'm going to talk about the power of doing the work, of trusting the process and doing the work. I have had a phenomenal day, and it's not because of me. It is actually because of my wife's anxiety. So, my name is Coach Bruce, and I'm a coach. I am a life coach for ADHD parents. Today, I was doing my stacking, which is basically like journaling to God, and I was having a conversation about how mad I was about my wife's anxiety. I was telling a victim story about how it has controlled my life and how I'm not the man I was meant to be because of her fear that was controlling my life. So as I was doing this journaling and I was getting all this anger out about anxiety, about this thing that doesn't physically exist that I felt like was able to control what I did, I submitted to the idea that maybe it wasn't Kate's anxiety that was controlling me. Maybe it was me who wasn't stepping up to the plate and doing what I needed to do. I had to look at the story of giving anxiety all of the control over everything that's happened in my life and had to look about how I face that situation. And as I did the work and I started to pull through all of the emotions I've had, all the anger I've had for so many years, and how much I have suppressed it, and not said anything about it, and had just submitted to a life where I would never be fully free again. In that conversation, I found that it was never anything but me that was keeping myself prisoner. I was the one who I took that anxiety as a threat. I treated it as if it wasn't part of the person that I love most in the world, and I tried to separate it out and starve it to death. I wouldn't, whenever she was anxious, I wouldn't give her love. I wouldn't give her kindness or grace. I would try to starve her of emotions because I can't deal with you when you're like this. When you're like this, when you are vulnerable and scared and you're worried that things aren't going to go well, I can't deal with you when you're like this. That was the mentality that I had. And I called myself a leader of this family. I abandoned my wife in her times of need. And not only did I abandon her, I was disrespectful and rude because she was worried about me. And when this initially started, it wasn't ridiculous fear. It wasn't unreasonable. But the more and more tried to starve her anxiety, the more I starved her. The more she didn't feel loved, the more she felt gaslit and like she was wrong for having these feelings, the more she was confused by this voice that was telling her to try to keep me on the path of righteousness. I was so rebellious of doing anything right. And all she was trying to do was deliver me to this point in which I could finally start to step into the calling that is here for me. She just wanted me to stay alive. And through her way of dealing with my starving her anxiety, she got me here. Despite me having many different long term abuses with drugs, me trying to ruin our marriage through infidelity, me having obsessions with porn and video games and golf and anything else, we're still together because she was dedicated enough to try to keep me from straying too far. I needed her. I needed her, or else I would not be here today. I would be dead or in jail, or we wouldn't be married. I would not be able to be a father to these children because I would have messed things up too bad. Her anxiety saved me. And I had to tell her that today. I had to thank her for being able to express to me in whatever way that she could that she was worried. It's taken a lot of retrospection to be able to see that it is my responsibility that drove her to the point where we weren't able to talk reasonably about the fears that she had because I was not emotionally available enough to have a conversation. I couldn't just talk about it. I was so insecure in myself. As soon as I felt any sort of confrontation coming, I shut her down. And I told her that she was blowing things out of proportion, whether she was or not. Most of the time, she wasn't at the beginning. And the only way that she knew how to respond was to get bigger and bigger and yell louder and louder until I would finally listen, because I was living a dangerous life. And then I would check back in for a while and I'd say, oh, things are going to get better. And I'd stop doing whatever I was doing and I'd start living dangerously some other way. I'd find a new way to push the envelope. I'd find a new way to move farther away from God. I'd find a new way to try to quiet the voice inside of me that was telling me to do better, to be better. I didn't want to be better. I wanted to just be complacent. I just wanted to just show up and be comfortable. I just want to be comfortable. I don't want to have to fight. I don't want to have to earn anything. I don't want this burden that you were telling me that belongs to me. I don't want it. I didn't understand it. I couldn't hear it because I was fighting so hard. When I finally submitted to the fact that maybe I am worthy of God's love. Maybe I am worthy of a calling. Maybe I am worthy of purpose. I was able to see that I do want that burden. I do want to share my pain with others. I do want to help others lift the pain off of them and transform into something greater. I want that. But I had to survive to get here. And that's because of my wife's anxiety. That sounds crazy. It sounds like a generalization, but it is actually absolutely singularly true, is that if my wife did not have the anxiety that she had, I would probably be dead. I probably would have driven drunk or taken the wrong pills together, because that's something I did for a while. Or, I don't know, been in the wrong place, getting the wrong thing. I don't know how far off I would have gone off the tracks if it had not been for her. So, yeah. But I only figured all that out because I'm still doing the work. Like, I'm still putting in the time, even though things have been better for me than they've ever been. I have more clarity and more purpose in my heart than I've ever had, but I'm still doing the work. And the more I do the work, the more clear the voice is inside of me, the more clear I feel called to my purpose. So, yeah, I'm going to keep doing the work. And I suggest you do the same. If you haven't started doing the work, get started. It's worth it. It is worth the work. That's it for today. I'm going to go hang out with my family. Peace.